All right, welcome back to what I hope are good choices. Doing a mic check, 1 2 1 2. Everything looks good. Actually, this is my second attempt to make a video because I did one and it failed. So things are working good. This is going to be on the LPIC series. I don't want to let that die, even though I'm kind of having fun making videos for the other one. So, um, looks like this one's a bit of a longer one, but it's lesson two of the same objective of the same topic. So the topic was GNU and Unix commands. The objective was to create, monitor, and kill processes. We finished up lesson one in I think like 3 videos. So now it's on to lesson two. All right, so introduction. The tools and utilities seen in the previous lesson are very useful for process monitoring at large. However, a system administrator may need to go one step further. In this lesson, we will discuss the concept of terminal multiplexers and learn about GNU Screen and TMUX, as despite today's modern and great terminal emulators, multiplexers still preserve some cool, powerful features for a productive system administrator. All right, so features of terminal multiplexers. In electronics, a multiplexer or MUX is a device that allows for multiple inputs to be connected to a single output. Thus, a terminal multiplexer gives us the ability to switch between different inputs as required, although not exactly the same. Screen, and TMUX share a series of common features. Any successful invocation will result in at least a session, which in turn will include at least a window. Windows contain programs. Windows can be split into regions or panes, which can aid in productivity when working with various programs simultaneously. Ease of control. To run most commands, they use a key combination, the so-called command prefix or command key, followed by another character. Sessions can be detached from their current terminal, that is, programs are sent to the background and continue to run. And now these are sessions. You can also do that with individual commands using the ampersand, so hopefully we'll see the difference between those two. This guarantees a complete execution of programs, no matter if we accidentally close a terminal, experience an occasional terminal freeze, or even remote connection loss. All right, so socket connection, copy mode, and then they're all highly customizable. So these are features of terminal multiplexers. You can have copy mode, you can have socket connection, high customability, and then all of these features as well. So GNU Screen. In the earlier days of Unix, 1970s through 80s, computers basically consisted of terminals connected to a central computer. That was all. No multiple windows or tabs. So definitely take this for granted. Let's take a moment to be grateful for the fact that we could just pop out new tabs and new windows like this. It actually is really a better way to use the internet. I'm old enough to remember, the days before you could just highlight something like this and then not only, open it in a new tab. Like, let's take a moment to be grateful again for the AIs. I can just have a conversation with something I highlighted with an entity that like can contribute valuable things. Like 5-10 years ago, even like 2 years ago, 1 year ago, AIs were airheads. Like, you just the basic hello AI, how are you? It would not be as good of a response as hello artificial intelligence, how are you?
Hello. I don't have feelings, but thank you for asking. How are you doing
Yeah,
today?
look at this.
Have you had the chance to go through your 30 new
And it's able to keep me up to date with my goals and like remind me of the things I want to accomplish. Yeah, it's just like AI didn't used to be like that. So, okay. And that was the reason behind the creation of GNU Screen in 1987. Emulate multiple independent VT100 screens on a single physical terminal. All right, so Windows. GNU Screen is invoked just by typing screen into the terminal. You will first see a welcome message. So let's try that on my home lab. It's a good place to try it. Home lab is right here. All right, so we'll go to the tab here. We'll type screen, and there we go. So press space or enter to close the message, and you will be shown a command prompt. So here we go. We can press space for the next page, or we can do return to end. Let's press space. Okay, so this takes us to the next page. Let's press space again. Okay, so when you're on the final page, pressing space does the same thing as enter. It may seem nothing has happened, but the fact is that Screen has already created and is managing its first session and window. Screen's command prefix is Control-A. To see all windows at the bottom of the terminal display, type Control-A-W. Okay, so, you know, we're communicating with Bash when we do just, anything like that, enter all that. But if we want to communicate with Screen, which is a program we ran using Bash, we can do Control-A. And now everything, yeah, so like Control-A tells us that we're going to communicate with Screen, and then to send more things with Screen, you've got to use more characters. So Control-A, and then I hit W afterwards. So I communicated with Screen that I wanted to see all of the sessions I have open. So let's do that again. Control-A and then W separately. So it looks like I only have one session open, and then in that session I'm running Bash. So there it is, our one and only window so far. Note that the count starts at 0 though. So let's note that. Control-A-W. There we go. To create another window, type Control-A-C. You will see a new prompt. Let us start with PS in that window. Okay, so we're going to type Control-A-C for create a new one. Looks like I have to do a password. All right, password's accepted. So now let's do Control-A-W. Whoops. So, that's different. That's that's interesting. So something went wrong because we can see we have PS-1 instead of PTS/2, and when we do Control-A-W, we've only got one window open. So let's try that again. Control-A-C. Okay, and then we'll try PS. There, and that looks a lot better. We've got the /2. If we do Control-A-W, now we've got the two sessions separated by a space. So type Control-A-W again, and there we go. That's what we got. It looks like this star tells you which session you're currently on. There we have our two windows. Note the asterisk indicating the one that is being shown at the moment. However, as they were started with Bash, they are both given the same name. Since we invoked PS in our current window, let us rename it with that same name. For that, you have to type Control-A to say you want to talk to Screen, and then separately capital A, so Shift A, and write the new window name. So we'll name it PS, when prompted. So we're going to get this prompt here that says set window title to, and then we'll enter in PS. Let's do that. So Control A to tell it that we're going to send it a command to screen. And this, if you're familiar with Vi, it's kind of the same thing as switching between command and editor mode in Vi. It's like the same concept. So if you're in command mode, you hit I, and now you can type in Vi. If you're in I mode, input mode, then you type escape, and now you can send commands to Vi without sending keystrokes to the editor. So now we're going to choose a capital A. There we go, and it says set Windows title to. So now it's set to bash. I'm going to try typing P. Okay, so it looks like it appends it to what it's already named. So we need to delete the current name like that with the backspace, then type PS and hit enter. And now when we do Control AW, we can see the name of this session, the one that is currently being displayed, and we know that with the asterisk, is now changed. Is now changed to PS. Now let us create another window, but provide it a name from the start. Yet another window. This is done by invoking screen with the -T switch. So T for title, probably. All right, so it's going to be screen -T, yet another window. And let's check that. Yep, so now we've got, now this minus sign probably is pretty significant. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but this is the first window we created, so maybe it could mean something like that. But we can see, yep, it's got the active window there, which is the third window we have opened, which is window number 2, because it starts at 0. And then here's the name of the window. We see it's been set correctly. So you can move between windows in different ways. So using Control A and then N, you can just go to the next window, and then to Control AP, you can go to the previous window. So let's display some different output on the window. So we're going to do PSAUX on this window. Okay, and then we'll do a Control AN to move to the next window. And we can see we've got output there, but let's do netstat. Okay, we got the netstat output, so we'll do a Control AN. And now let's do one more piece of output. Let's do NS lookup on an IP, or on for Google.com. All right, so there we go. We've got 3 distinct different sets of inputs. So let's do a Control AN to move to the next one. So the next one looks like it's the output of that command. Let's do Control AP to get back to where we were. There we go. That's the NS lookup. Do Control AP again to look at what was previous. So this looks like the output of netstat. We'll do Control AN to go back to the middle. Now let's just loop through them all from this one on forward to the next one. So next one, as we saw before, is the output here. Then the next one will loop all the way around to the output here. And then if we hit the next one, we're back to where we were. Now we'll go back the prior direction. So we're going to do Control AP. There we go. Control AP again. And Control AP. And now we're back to where we were. Another thing that is important to note, if I do a Control AN to go to the next one, and then Control A again to go to the next one, and I clear up all my output, it's important to know, and then here's another thing too, which one am I on? Let's find out. So Control AW. So right now I'm on the PS one. Let's go to the very first one. So we're going to do Control AP and then Control AW. There we go. Through this asterisk, we can see we're at the first one. So one thing that looks like it's actually pretty important to know is we can do window 1 here without hitting enter. So now we can move to the next window. We'll type window 2. And we can leave commands up in the window. See that? So we're in window 1 here. take a look at Control AW. We're in this bash one through the asterisk. So let's go to the next one, Control AN. Now what we had remains there, ready to go, even though we don't hit enter. So it's quite a bit different from just creating a new terminal session, because you know what you're doing in the I guess it's not that different from having another window open, because I could do this, and then I could type in lab. What's happening here? But it's similar to that, but it has some differences. But just the important thing to bear in mind is that you can just type something on the screen, and then it will, even if you don't enter the command, it'll still remain there, ready to be entered later. All right, so the next way of moving between windows is by using Control plus A and then the number assigned to the window. And remember that it starts with 0, so we'll do a Control AW. So now we're in window 0. Let's go over to window 2. So we're going to do Control A and then number 2. There we go. And it says window 3. But the number assigned, it's the third window that's open, but the numerical identifier is 2 because it starts at 0. So Control AW, there we go. The asterisk is there. So we'll do Control A, hit the number 1. That's interesting. Right. And I already forgot because it starts at 0. So if we Control A, hit the number 1, we're not back to window number 1. We're window number 2, because to go to that first window, we'd have to do Control 8. 0. Now we're to window 101. Okay, perfect. So that can be tricky, counterintuitive. So the final way of moving between windows is to do Control A and then a double quotes to see a list of all the windows, and then you can use your arrow keys to select the one that you want and then hit enter and you get it. So that's probably the best way, because then there's no ambiguity about what window you're actually on. All you do is Control A, then shift quote character for a double quote, and now you go to the special menu and you can just use your arrow keys and select the window that you need. No ambiguity at all. You just use your arrow keys down. It's really not that hard because this asterisk is really nice, but this is probably the best way to do it. Sometimes the ambiguity can be tricky. So I would recommend doing it this way. It's Control A, double quote. So while working with Windows, it's important to remember the following. Windows run their programs completely independent of each other. Programs will continue to run even if their window is not visible, also when the screen session is detached, as we see shortly. To remove a window, simply terminate the program running in it. Once the last window is removed, the screen will itself terminate. Alternatively, use Control A and then K while in the window you want to remove. You will be asked for confirmation. So really kill this window. Hit yes, and now they killed their first window. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the second window. So I will move to the second window first, and I'll do Control A 1 because it starts at 0, and then I'll do Control A K, and they'll ask me, and I will say yes. So now when I do Control A W, you can see I only have windows 0 and 2, and when I do Control A double quotes, I am not able to select the one that I killed anymore. All right, so regions. Screen can also divide a terminal screen up into multiple regions. I didn't know that. In which to accommodate windows. I didn't know that. These divisions can either be horizontal by using Control plus A and then a capital S, or vertical by using Control plus A, and then the pipe key. The only thing the new region will show is just double dash at the bottom, meaning it is empty. All right, so let's try that. Control A and then a capital S. Let's try that one first. Oh, wow. Okay. So now my, what? Oh, this is kind of crazy. I didn't know you could do this. This is awesome. Wow. Okay. Wow. So now if I do a Control A W, looks like we've got these two. Let's do a Control A and then the double quote. And let's switch to the bash window. Okay. So the thing is, like, the bottom is empty right now. So I guess you've got to fill it in with the other terminal you want. Let's try making it vertical with Control A and then pipe. There we go. And now I have 3 different windows. I split my main window into 2 windows with a horizontal separator by using Control A capital S. And then one of those split windows, the one on the top, I split again using a vertical split by using the pipe key. So now I've got 3 windows open. One of the windows is opened to this, and then the other windows are not actually opened to a session. So hopefully that's what comes next. Okay, so we've got, yep, as I just said, we've got the first window here opened to the bash terminal screen. Oh, so this is a terminal screen. This whole thing is a terminal screen. So we divided our terminal screen into 3 sections. In the first section of the terminal screen, we have a window. Do we have a window? Yeah, we have a window. We have a window in all 3 sections of the terminal screen. But what we don't have is a... Oh, no, I'm misspeaking. So what we have in each of these sections of the terminal screen is a region. So we have this region of the terminal screen, this one here, and this one here. We have 3 different regions of the terminal screen. But inside each region of the terminal screen, we have windows. And the first region of the terminal screen, we have what I call window 1 here, but which is named bash and which is assigned an identifier of 0. In the second region of the terminal screen, we have a blank window with nothing called up on it. None of the windows that we have defined. It's just an empty, null, blank window. And then in the third region of the terminal screen, we have the same thing, and we can see that with the double dash. So to move to the new region, type Control A tab. Let's try that. Control A and then tab. All right, so now we can see by my cursor blinking here, I'm in this second region here. Now you can add a window to your region by any of the methods that we have already seen. For example, Control plus A and then 2. That's one way to do it. Let's take a look at what windows we have available. So remember how to do that. It's Control A, W. So now we can see the 2 windows we have available. So one of the ways we can do that is by selecting it like that. But we can also use another way. We can just step through each of the windows. So remember how to do that. That's right. Control A, you're always going to use it that way. And then N takes you to the next one, which would be the one to the right, going this way, or looping back around to the beginning. And then P takes you back the other way. So let's do it with Control A, N. There we go. And we had a blank window open. So we just started with the first one here, which happened to be bash. Let's move on to the next one. There we go. And now we're at the yet another window separator there. This is like blowing my mind because I literally like on the job would like download tools for this, and like the setup would be like kind of like not that great. It would be like kind of awful to like set up the tools, and like the tools were not like amazing. Like this is as good or better than any tool I've used to try to do this. Like this is blowing my mind. I mean, this was developed in like the 80s. So it's like dang, like I did not know this was this robust of a feature and this like good too. Cuz like the divider lines are so clear and everything. And it tells you like what like this is amazing. This is blowing my mind. All right, so now you can add a window by any of the methods we have already seen. So we saw that we used a different method than they used. Now the double dash should have turned into the numerical identifier for your window, and then the name, also known as the title of your window. So their numerical identifier is 1, and then there's a space separator, and the title of their window is 2. Now you can't see the bar here, but it would look, if it were like a screenshot, there'd be like a bar there. And here's their other window with the numerical identifier and the title of the window. Important aspects to keep in mind when working with regions are moving between regions. Of course, that's critical. If you don't know how to do that, then you can't use your other regions. So you can move between regions by typing Control-A and then the tab key. So let's get used to doing that. We're in this region here, so we're going to do Control-A, and we're going to do the tab key, and now we end up in this region down here. Let's do it again. Control-A, tab key, now we're in this region up here. Now let's just do some exploration. We're going to do Control-A, then we're going to do Shift and Tab. So this did not work the way I expected. What I wanted to try to do is move the other way, because let's say you have 50 windows open. There's going to be a point where, Control-A tab is kind of annoying, and like if you're working on network gear, you could have like quite a few of these open, having 6 of them open, like your jump host, a few devices, like that's probably not unreasonable. So like it'd be nice if there were a better way to move between these. But as it is, it's really not bad, and I love how the title of the window is right there. So I would still use this, even though that's kind of the first way that I see it could potentially use some improvement. So the other important aspect to keep in mind with working with regions are you can terminate all regions except the current one with Control plus A minus Q, which is awesome. So except the current one. So which one is current? It's the one with the blinking cursor. These are. The question was, which region is the current region? And the answer is the one with the blinking cursor. Now, if you were asking another question, which window is the current window, the blinking cursor would not tell you that. So, and you would have multiple answers. So the question, which window is the current window, is not really a valid question to add and to ask unless you add additional details. And the additional details you need to ask for that question is, which window is the current window for a specific region, or for all of the regions? So for all of these regions, which window is the current window? Well, the answer is in the upper left window region. The current window is the one with numerical identifier 0 with the title bash. To the one next over, it's 2 with the title yet another window. And then to the bottom region of the terminal screen, the current window is actually no window. It's a null, undefined, just blank screen, blank region with no window pulled up at all. So the other thing we could do is do a Control-A-W and take a look at all the windows we have that we could put in any of these if we wanted. And we can even still do our Control A W and select it within a region. But important thing to note is that if you have a window, we can see here, you can apply any of these windows to any of these screen regions. Let's go ahead and just create another window. So to create a window, it's screen, and then it's dash uppercase T to give it a title. We'll say it new window. We'll call it that. Enter. So now Control A W. Oh wait, what? I think I forgot how to do that. Why is it not showing up in the, first of all, why is there no coloration? And second of all, why is it not showing up if I do Control A W? Alright, let's do Control A K and then kill that window. And now let's take a look. Oh, maybe this is it. I did a capital T. I don't know what a capital T stands for. There we go. Yeah, so no more capital T. Coloration is still there. It's got a name still. And now it's one of the options we can do. So let's move this back to the bash window. So I'll do Control AP to go backwards. We're back to the original window. Now let's move down here to this region. So we're going to do Control A tab, Control A tab again. We're in this region. And now let's populate this new region with the new window that we created. So we're going to do Control A double quote, and we can select the new window that I just created. Perfect. And in this new window, let's do a screen dash help and take a look what I did with the capital T. So this is to use as a term for Windows rather than screen. So yeah, this is maybe for some compatibility stuff or whatever, but definitely not what I meant to do. I meant to do the lowercase t. Okay, so these are the things to keep in mind. Moving between regions, figured out how to do that. The other thing to keep in mind that's missing from the list is that there's a difference between regions and windows. I went over that in pretty clear detail, but definitely want to understand that those are two separate things and the differences between the two. That's really important to keep in mind. The next thing to keep in mind is that you can terminate all regions except the current one with Control AQ. So let's do that. And the current one is with this blinker, because remember, these are regions. So we're specifying the regions. The current window in this region is here, new window. So we're going to move with Control A back to the original one. The current window in this region is bash, but we're not going to touch those windows at all. We're not going to modify them in any way. All we're going to do is close all the regions except for this one here. So we'll do Control A and then a capital Q. There we go. And all the regions are closed. As far as are all the windows still open? That's a good question. All the windows are still available, but let's now switch to the next window. So we're going to do Control AP. We'll go back. We'll do that again. Do that one more time. And you know what? Let's do this. Let's do Control A, capital S to split it down there. Control A tab to go. Now let's pull up a window. So we're going to do Control A double quotes. We'll pull up this yet another one. And then we're going to clear it out and say I exist. Okay. And now we're going to do a Control A tab and Control A Shift Q. Okay, and now we'll do a Control A W, and we'll move to the window where we created. I can't remember which it is, so let's just cycle through all the ones, and we do that with Control A N for next. There we go, and then one more time, Control A N for next, and there we go. So we can see, even though we terminated the region, we did not terminate any aspect at all of the window. It still exists exactly how it was modified in the region that it previously existed in. Now it just exists in that one region. All right, so let's go back. We're going to do Control A double, and we'll select the first one. There we go. So we're back. So the other thing to keep in mind is you can terminate the current region with Control AX. So let's create some more regions. We're going to divide this in half. Then we're going to do Control A tab to go to this one, and we're going to divide this horizontally. And then let's do Control A tab again, and then let's split this one horizontally. So it's Control A capital S. There we go. And now you can see how powerful this is. Like, if you're doing network engineering, you've got your automation server that we learned about in my other series here, looking over all your files, your YAML files, and then each of your networking devices here. And you see how powerful of a tool this is. This is why, like, this is exactly what I was trying to get out of this certification in this series. It's just these general broad skills where it's like, while everyone's, going on the internet, researching, going through this annoying setup process to try to get their basic workspace, they're downloading VS Code and updating it and downloading extension after extension after extension. I'm just using things that people have been using since 1981. And some of the greatest, most impactful programmers and developers and administrators we've ever had throughout the history of the internet have been using this since 1981, and they're pretty darn productive, at least in my opinion. So, sometimes a hammer is truly all you need. You don't need a Internet of Things smart hammer hooked up to the internet. All right, so so now we're going to terminate the current region. So to do that, we need to move to the current region when we want to terminate, which is here. But let's just cycle through all of them, think about which region we want to terminate. Let's terminate this one, so we just get the 3 of these. So we're going to do Control A, capital X. There we go. And now we're just looking at our 3 networking devices more carefully in the hypothetical scenario. So let's fill in these regions with some windows. So to do that, we're going to do Control A and then double quote, so we can see the windows we want to fill it in with. We'll fill this one in with the first one, then Control A tab, and then we'll do we'll fill this one in with the second one. So we'll do Control A double quote. There we go, and then select the second window, which has a numerical identifier of 1 because the numerical identifiers start with 0. And we'll switch to the last region of the screen, and we'll populate the region with the final window. So to do that, we'll do Control A, double quote, and select the final window here. There we go. And we can see all of the windows are populated in each of the regions. We can see they're very clearly labeled, which is wonderful. Sometimes it's hard to get such clear labeling. And then we can see we've got these big white bars making it easy to tell the different regions of the terminal. Okay, so that's terminating a specific region. Let's do that again and terminate this region here in the middle. Or let's terminate this region here. So we're going to do Control A capital X. We're already at the region, and then we'll switch this one here to the next region. So Control A that to the final region. To the final window. So this is where it gets tricky. We're switching windows, and we can see nothing in the window changed. It still says I exist. It's just the region change. We now have 2 regions instead of 3 regions, and we can see instead of having a smaller region here and then a bigger region here, it just now that there's 2 regions, it's split it into 2 equal parts of the screen. So that's important to know as well. And you can't like adjust. So like sometimes the modern tools might be better because then you can stretch it, pull it with your mouse. But this looks pretty good to me. I'm surprised at how good of a tool this seems to be. Okay, so terminating a region does not terminate its associated window. Yep, so that's important to know, to keep in mind, and I think I demonstrated that pretty well. All right, so let's move on to sessions. So far, we have played with a few windows and regions, but all belonging to the same and only session. It's time to start playing with sessions. To see a list of all sessions, so there's now we've introduced a new concept. So we had the concept of windows, which hopefully makes sense. Then we had the concept of regions, which are probably a little bit more intuitive. It's just regions of the screen. But now we've got a new concept, which is sessions. So to see a list of all sessions, type screen-list or screen-ls. All right, so let's go with the more blunt one. We're going to type screen-list. So now the thing is, right. So let's move to the other region, which has a different window pulled up on it. It has the 0 window instead of the 2 window. And now we're going to type screen-list. All right, and now we can see, even though we've got 2 regions and we've got 3 windows, I believe we do anyway. Let's check. Yep, we got 3 windows. We only have 1 session. So this is our only session so far, despite the fact that we have 3 windows and 2 regions. All right, and now we can see the different parts of the session output. We can see that there's the process ID for the session. So there's this 4 digits minus 5 digits. We can see the name of the session. So there's this .debian minus .homelab. So it takes the host name of your system and then the terminal line that you're accessing it from. So indicating the terminal. In their case, it's a sudo terminal slave. In my case, it's the case as well. And then the host name. And then the final thing it gives is the status. It looks like they're just kind of ignoring the date. And that's interesting because I wonder what this date is. Is that the date the session started? I guess that's what I would guess. So, but they're not going to speak to that specifically. Let's take a look at the status. All right, so in my case, the status is attached. And then we do see the date is today. So it'd be 15. So it'd be like 3/16. So maybe that is when this was first created. But I kind of wish they had more information about what that date actually is saying. But anyways, let's create a new session, giving it a more descriptive name. So screen-capital S creates a new session, and we can see that if we do the help on screen. So we're going to do screen dash help, and we'll look for capital S. So this is the sock name, and you can name this session pid.sockname instead of pid.tty.host. So, and remember the 3 concepts we learned. We learned about a window, we learned about a region, and now we're learning about a screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to name our screen. We're not going to name our windows. We're not going to name our regions. We're going to name our session. We're going to name our session, not screen. So screen is just the program that we're running. With the program, we created windows, we created regions, and now we're going to create sessions, and we're going to name each of our sessions. So let's do that. We're going to name. So we've already got the name of our original session, and how do we see that? Screen dash name, right? No, I don't remember. So let's see here. Screen dash list. Okay, so now we see the name of the only session that we have. Let's create a new one with a custom name. Screen dash capital S. We're creating a new session, and now we need to give it a name. So we're going to call it second session. All right, so now the terminal will display will be cleared, and you will be given a new prompt. You can check for sessions once more. All right, so let's check it for once more. So we can do screen. Now we can do dash S, or we can do dash list. All right, but we can see we do have two sessions now. The terminal display will be cleared, and you will be given a new prompt. You can check for sessions once more. All right, so screen dash ls. There are no screens on. There we go. Oh, sorry. No, there are screens on. So here's the two screens. Yep. So okay. So next, to kill a session, quit out of its windows, or just type the command screen dash s and then the session dash PID. So that would be, for example, like 1090 for the one we just created, and then dash X, so like a command to execute on that session, and we'll execute the command quit. So you can also provide the session name instead with this still dash S. So let's get rid of our first session, and let's do it in a different way. The first way we're going to get rid of it is just by doing exit. And now if we do a screen dash list, oh, sorry, a screen dash list, not a screen dash list. Now we can see we're back to just having that one session. So let's create a new session again. We're going to do screen capital S, and we're going to say new session. No such file. Oh, does it have to be wrapped in quotes? Yeah, it has to be wrapped in quotes if there's a space. You could probably use a backslash as well. That's an escape character in Bash. But okay, so now let's delete it in a different way. Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. You can make it like full screen by hitting F11, which I did by accident. So if you have this like on another monitor, you can just hit F11 and just have this be your way of accessing devices. That's like really cool. Okay, so I'm so impressed. So now if we do screen dash list, we can see we've got these new sessions. So let's delete this session here using a different method than they use here, and using a different method than just entering the exit at the CLI. Let's say we were on, let's do this. So let's switch sessions. So we can do that. Oh, did we learn how to do that yet? No, we didn't learn how to do that yet. You know what? So let's work ahead and let's figure out how we would do that. So we'll do screen dash help, and then so dash R. I guess it would be dash R. Let's try that. Okay. And then we'll feed the other session. So I'm not sure which session. You know what? We're getting a little bit too far ahead. So let's just stick to the plan and terminate this using a different command than they used here. So one way we can do that is do the screen dash list, and then use the host name instead of the process ID. And we got to wrap it in quotes again. Okay, there we go. Now we're back to having only one session in our window that exists in this region of the screen. so we only have one session displayed in the output of our window on this region of the screen. Down here, we do not have this printing out. In fact, we don't even have the same window open on this one, which I can't see that anymore. Oh, why is it not listing the? That's annoying. So it looks like it dropped off the oh, that sucks. Yeah, it dropped off the label of the window. Okay, maybe this tool isn't so good. I mean, it was made in 1981, right? All right, so this will send you back to your terminal prompt outside of screen, but remember our second session is still alive. Oh, I didn't know that. So let's try that. Screen dash list. Oh, I see. So I think they wanted to delete. So if we kill a session, do that. Let's get rid of our first. So they wanted to be in the second session and then get rid of the first session. So let's do that. So we're gonna do screen dash s second session. All right. So now we're in the second session. So if we do screen dash list, we can see the first section is here. So now we're going to delete the first session. Let's just use the command right out of the learning materials. Screen dash capital S. But we can't do it exactly how we see it because we have to use the process ID that we have, not the one that's just listed there. And then dash uppercase X quit. And there we go. The screen has terminated. Let's do a screen dash list. Okay, so now that second session, so now we're no longer in a session, which is interesting. We're just kind of in no man's land. We're in a screen still. We're still in a region, but we're no longer in a session. So there does exist a session still. It's the one that we didn't delete. The one that we were in previously, we deleted. But this second session now has the status of detached. Okay, so you will be sent back to your prompt outside of screen. So if we were to do here, since we're no longer in screen, Control A and then K, now we just get K to the screen. We don't see anything popping up here. If we were to do a Control A and an S, capital S, now we're not sending commands to screen anymore because we're no longer in a screen session. Okay, and then we see, since we're no longer in a screen session, all the screen sessions that exist, since we're not in them, are now detached. All right, so session detachment. For a number of reasons, you may want to detach a screen session from its terminal. To let your computer at work do its business and connect remotely later from home, you would want to detach a screen session from its terminal. That's cool. I never even thought about that. So like, for example, on my home lab, all the work I'm doing, like on the network devices, the scroll back buffer, all that, I could just have a screen, do that in a screen, and that in a session, do that in a session, and then detach the session, and then when I get home, I have all that output still. That could be a good way of like keeping logs and stuff too, possibly. I mean, relying on what's on the screen is like a recipe for disaster. But if you want to save your work and come back to it later, just do your work in a session and then detach the session. All right, and then the other thing you can do is share a session with other users. Wow, okay, this is blowing my mind. So you detach a session with the key combination Control A D. You will be taken back into your terminal. So let's try it now. Control A and then a lowercase d. Now, what happened? A lowercase d was displayed to the screen. And why is that? 3, 2, 1. So the reason is because when we hit Control A, we just hit Control A. That's it. And what happens when you hit Control A is it moves the cursor to the beginning of the line. And that's just what happens if you're not in a session, just the default behavior of your whatever you're running this on of Ubuntu. So when you're in a session, now you have screen running and you send commands to screen instead of just having the default behavior, which can be annoying if you're used to using Control A. So let's do Control E to go to the end, then Control U to delete everything in there. Then we'll do a clear, and then we'll do screen. And we'll give it a title, so a lowercase t, and we're going to call it my new screen. Let's call it my new window so that we're clear about what everything is. All right, so we made a new window here. So let's do some commands in it. PS. Let's do ping of 8.8.8.8. All right, let's do a trace route of 8.8.8.8. Oh, or let's do a trace RT of google.com. I don't know how to do trace route, but okay. There's really no trace route. All right. Well, anyway, that looks good. So now that we're done with that, let's detach the session. So Control A, and then lowercase d, and now we've got a detached session. So now what we will do is screen -list to list out all of our sessions. Okay, now let's list out all of our windows. Oh, you know what? We can't do that now because we're no longer in a session. So let's go back in. Let's go create another screen session. So if we do screen help, and if we do so we did -t, lowercase t. So that's so we created a window. Okay, good. So the other thing we could do is create a if we do the C, capital C that we did before, right? Remember that? Or was it capital S? Yeah, capital S. So now what we can do with so we can do what we did before. So we can do screen -t for title and say my second new and now this is a window, so window. There we go. Now we're in the window. We can see that with Control AW. There we go. We can yeah, now notice how there's only one window. That's because we're in a session. So let's do Control AD and detach that session. This will take us back to here where Control AD does nothing because we're no longer in screen. So if we do a screen -list, now we can see we have 3 detached sessions, and we can see that the names of 2 of them are automatically created. So if we want to make a custom name for a session, we do screen -uppercase S for session and say my favorite session. All right, and now we're in a session. If we do Control AW, we can see in this session we only have one window. So let's create a region by doing Control A and then a pipe key. So now we've got 2 regions. Let's create another window by doing oh, I forget how to do that. So screen oh, I think it's a -C. Let's see here. Screen -help. think this is the -C. I don't remember. I think it's the -T. So screen -T, my first new window. Okay, and then screen -T, my second new window. Okay, and then screen -T, my third new window. Okay, so now if we do a Control A W, yes, now we can see we have multiple windows. Now we can't see them listed out, so that's why the Control A double quote is so valuable, because you can now see all of them. So we'll go back to the default one. We'll change the region by doing Control A tab. Now we're in this new region, and we'll open a window on the new region by doing Control A double quote, and we'll open the second new window. All right. And now let's detach from this session. So we'll do Control A, and remember, a session is not a window and it's not a region. So we're going to do a Control A and then a D, and now we're detached from that session. If we do a screen -list, we can see here it is. It's called My Favorite Session. And not only that, we no longer have different screens. Sorry, I used the wrong word there. We no longer have different regions. We have only one region. That's because outside of this session, in fact, outside of screen altogether, we do not have those regions set up. So not only do we not have any windows, not only do we not have any sessions, and not only do we not have any regions, we are in fact not even using screen at all anymore, because all of our screen sessions are detached. We are not attached to any screen session. All right, so this is how you detach it. We saw that. So to attach again to the session, you use the command screen-R, and then you pass it the session ID. Alternatively, you can use the session name, as we saw above. If there is only one detached session, neither is necessary or compulsory, as is the clearer word to use, I guess. But anyways, let's try it with screen-R. There we go. So we have several suitable screens. We need to pick which screen to use. So we'll do screen-R, and let's go to my favorite screen, which is 23405. Now this is kind of fascinating. You can see our regions were not preserved, but let's take a look at our windows. Okay, so all of our windows were preserved, but the regions unfortunately were not preserved. But I mean, there's no harm, no foul. Just create all the regions you want. It's really nice and easy, and then switch to the regions and open the windows that you want in the region. Really not a big deal at all. And then the windows themselves should be preserved. So let's do a Control A, that quote. We go to the first window here. Let's try this, and then we'll say I exist. And then we'll say this, and we'll say, but I'm better. And then we'll say, no, you're not. Okay, and now we'll do a Control A, we'll detach. Those are all our windows. And now we'll resume that same session. Okay, so now that we're in the session, let's take a look at all the windows. All right, so here's all the windows. Let's select a different window using the double quotes. And there we go. The other thing we can do is Control A-N and cycle through all of them. And there we go. We can see we've got all of the input we entered into the window, even though we did not hit enter, still is there ready to go. Even though the regions do not exist, but it's pretty easy just to create the new regions and then to pull up the window you want in those regions. Kind of sucks that it doesn't persist, but it's not that bad. Okay, so looks good. So detached again, we're outside of screen now. So the command suffices to reattach. This command suffices to reattach to our second session. So let's try that one. Screen dash ls. So this is just a way to list out the sessions. So in their case, since they only had that one session, it was sufficient to reattach to it. In my case, I have to specify which session I want. So important options for session reattaching are -D and -R, which reattach a session and, if necessary, detach it first. Then -D and -R, same as -D and -R, but screen will even create the first session if it does not. Will even create the session first if it does not exist. Okay, and then so these are additional options you can provide after lowercase d. So you can also give it a -R. So that will so you have to have a detached session already to do that, and then you can reattach to the detached session. So same thing here. Once you already have a detached session, you can instead give it a -R, and this will this will be if you're not inside. Weird. That's interesting. So I guess you don't have to detach the session because you can just use a -R and it'll create a session. I'm not sure what this actually does. And then -RR, same as R, however, use the first session if more than one is available. So that could be useful because you can just go right to the first one. You don't have to plug in the number, which could be annoying. And then now this is with a uppercase D and lowercase r, so that's to reattach a session, and if necessary, detach and log out remotely first. Then there's a number of uppercase D options. The next one is with uppercase R. If a session is running, then reattach, detaching and logging out remotely first if necessary. If it was not running, create it and notify the user. Then RR in uppercase is the same as before, but only stronger. I'm not sure what that means. Like a stronger notification to the user. I'm not sure what that means. And then another -D lowercase and then a -M lowercase. Start screen in detached mode. Oh, that's a good thing. This creates a new session but is not attached to it. This is useful for system startup scripts. That's cool. Okay, let's try that. All right, so we're going to create a new session. So we're going to do screen -D-M, and then let's do S and say this is a session. There we go. And now I created a session. So we're going to do screen -LS. And we can see my session created here, and we can see that I am not in a session right now. So I created a detached session without going into it. And that can be useful for system startup scripts. All right, so yeah, that's cool, because then what you can do is you can have the first thing your script does is creates a detached session, and then like everything happens in the session, and like you get that you can like track your script, like what your script does, in between boot ups. I've never really like thought about having to do that, but that's like pretty cool. All right, so and then dash uppercase D dash lowercase m is the same as lowercase d and lowercase m, but it does not fork a new process. The command exits if the session terminates. All right, and you can read the manual pages for screen to find out about other options. So this was all kind of mind-blowing for me. My whole life has changed. I think I'm going to move to a farm out in the woods now and just kind of, grow crops and take care of the animals and just kind of, go back to a simpler life. Just my mind is so blown and everything's so revolutionized now in like the way I view the world that I just kind of want to get away from it all and simplify life and get back to like, the good old like things in life, like sorry, just kind of, yeah, so I'm joking there. It wasn't quite that revolutionary for me, but it was revolutionary enough to want to capture this in a video. And I'm already past that 1 hour mark, which is what I try to strive for anyways. So, yep, that's going to be it for this part 1 of the series. So stay tuned for part 2, where we learn about copying and pasting and scroll back mode. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.